What he has done, to be quite honest with you, is absolutely disgusting. And I always hope and I always want to give athletes the benefit of the doubt.
Got caught taking drugs, hear your charge. It's like fucking murder. If you fucking murder somebody.
Eddie said to me yesterday at 60-40, so we don't know. I don't know if that is the case and he's failed a sample for cocaine. That's really surprising, massively surprising.
Jermaine Franklin has ignited chaos after failing drug tests just before his Moses Itauma collision. The boxing world reels, whispers turning into sirens as reports of a positive result rip through fight week. Eddie Hearn explodes, branding it sabotage and proof of a broken system. Fans freeze, arguments erupt over justice and blame, while Franklin stands cornered, watched, and under ruthless scrutiny days before the bell.
Do you know what is the absolute liberty about all of this? Is the way that he, after he failed that test on Monday, texts me, texts you, to say, I swear I've not taken anything. This is sabotage. This is just a system against me. Fuck off. It's an absolute, you know what, it makes me sick. Sick.
Jermaine Franklin detonates controversy after failing a drug test on the eve of his Moses Itauma fight. Derek Chisora unleashes fury, branding Franklin's move reckless, disgraceful, and a stain on the sport. Fans erupt, demanding answers as outrage swells over how one decision could jeopardize a high-stakes showdown. Now the bout hangs in limbo, the boxing world roaring for accountability and punishment.
Everybody who gets caught taking drugs should get a fucking 10-year ban, man. Fuck everybody. I don't understand why we have to fucking footsie around.
Eddie Hearn is caught in a sudden storm after Jermaine Franklin failed a drug test just before his clash with Moses Itauma. Intense talks with the British Boxing Board of Control, Hearn scrambles through legal traps and procedural chaos. The news is minutes old, nerves fraying, as fans and the boxing world brace for the fight's fate and looming consequences.
British Boxing Board of Control aren't. So we have to speak with them, deal with the legal situation and see where it lands. And this is quite fresh. Obviously, I don't even think it's 30 minutes. I think it's more like 10 or 15 minutes since that. And, we'll see what rolls on the next.
Johnny Nelson tore into Jermaine Franklin after the failed drug test surfaced on the very morning of the fight, branding the decision reckless, dangerous, and unforgivable under the bright lights. He exposed the brutal dilemma now haunting the British Boxing Board of Control as officials weigh punishment under intense pressure. The incident detonated shockwaves across boxing, igniting hard questions about preparation, accountability, and whether Moses Itauma's safety was ever truly protected.
To make the way how he's done it, on the morning of a fight, it's just wrong. It's dangerous, and the board are now in a situation where they think shit. So I don't know.
Anthony Joshua branded Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test a crushing disappointment, calling it a dark stain on the sport. He admitted confusion, saying even he couldn't grasp how it unfolded. The fallout has the boxing world spiraling, analysts and commentators dissecting how a high-profile fight was hijacked by last-second chaos, shattered credibility, and trust collapsing in real time.
Test positive, yeah.
It's happened, man. It happens in this sport. It's not new. It's happened to me already. I'm just happy I invest in this.
Liam Goff peeled back the tension surrounding Jermaine Franklin's positive test, revealing how different substances can haunt the body for varying lengths of time depending on the method used. He warned that even trace amounts can tilt performance, eligibility, or perception. That insight has ignited fierce debate across boxing, with experts challenging oversight, transparency, and whether allowing a fight to continue under such shadowed circumstances is defensible at all.
Out there, if depending on the amount, that will depend on how long it remains in your system. So from what I can gather, if you've taken a very limited amount, very little amounts, it could stay in your system. Depending on the nature of the test, if it was a saliva test, if it was a urine test, if it was a hair test, it's going to stay in your system a lot longer. But
Duke McKenzie tore into the baffling outcome of Jermaine Franklin's drug test, zeroing in on the fact that both the A and B samples flashed positive, a result he labeled absurd and impossible to ignore. He called the entire scenario illogical, almost surreal, as disbelief spread through the boxing world in real time. The controversy now hangs heavy over Franklin's camp, poisoning his build-up for Moses Itauma and amplifying fears about fairness, integrity, and the severe consequences waiting for him before he ever steps between the ropes.
How can he give A sample and then a B sample and they both come back positive for a banned substance? It doesn't make any sense.
Adam Catterall branded Jermaine Franklin's failed performance-enhancing drug test as a stunning blow, calling it shocking, unsettling, and deeply disappointing for everyone involved. He stressed how moments like this corrode trust at the core of boxing, tipping the scales against clean fighters who play by the rules. The revelation has ignited fierce, emotional debate throughout boxing circles, with experts dissecting oversight failures, safety risks, and the mounting pressure on the British Boxing Board of Control as it prepares to rule on a high-profile, last-minute infraction that threatens credibility, careers, and the sport's fragile integrity.
When any fighter fails a performance-enhancing drug test, it is incredibly shocking and disappointing.
Spencer Oliver voiced sheer disbelief after Jermaine Franklin tested positive for cocaine just days before his showdown with Moses Itauma, calling the timing staggering and almost surreal. He underlined how shocking and absurd it is for any fighter to walk toward a high-stakes battle under such reckless circumstances. Oliver stressed that with everything on the line, careers, rankings, futures, and reputations hanging by a thread, this kind of failure defies logic. The fallout leaves Franklin boxed in by serious, unavoidable questions. Meanwhile, boxing fans and analysts spiral into heated debate over the sport's integrity, the danger posed to clean fighters, and the hard consequences the board must now enforce to protect fairness, credibility, and safety inside the ring.
Blown away by what it is, recreational drugs, cocaine, you just go, how has that got in your system? He's got some explaining to do for one, and you think with what you had on the line, and with what you was, what was coming up for you, and the opponent you had in front of you, you just go like, cocaine in your system, it's...
Moses Itauma absorbed the shock of Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test with icy focus and barely contained frustration, refusing to let the chaos knock him off balance. Hungry to silence doubters and stamp his authority, he measured every word, steering clear of public sparring, especially around personal subjects like his own toughness. Itauma's response revealed a cold, professional edge, signaling his ready to exploit Franklin's unraveling while locking his gaze firmly on fight night. The scandal injects fresh tension into the matchup, fans and commentators buzzing as they wonder how Franklin's misstep will corrode his preparation, cloud his mindset, and fracture his performance, leaving the entire boxing world gripping the edge, waiting for impact.
Finally, shut a few people up. It's just the only one that I ain't trying to get answered is how's Moses Itauma's chin. Ain't nobody trying to answer that one.
Allah floated the possibility of alternative explanations behind Jermaine Franklin's failed test, even while conceding it sounded almost unbelievable on its face. He urged restraint, asking people to grant Franklin the benefit of the doubt, yet openly admitted the circumstances feel strange, unsettling, and hard to reconcile. Oladipo's balanced stance called for patience over pitchforks, caution over conclusions, without minimizing the gravity of what's unfolded. The boxing world, however, remains split down the middle, locked in fierce debate over intent versus accident, mistake versus misconduct. What should have been a sharp, disciplined build-up to a high-profile showdown is now drowned in suspicion and noise, forcing promoters, officials, and fans to wade through uncertainty. As the clock ticks, questions multiply about how this last-minute scandal will reshape Franklin's career, distort the competitive balance, and test the sport's promise of fairness under the harshest spotlight.
If it's somehow in his system from other means, I know that might sound crazy, but I guess we have to give him the benefit of the doubt, do we? I'd like to think we do. But yeah, this is wild. Honestly, this is...
Carl Frampton ripped into Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test, branding it a grave breach with chilling consequences. He insisted any fighter caught on performance-enhancing drugs deserves a lifetime ban, warning boxing is already lethal and shortcuts put rivals directly in danger. Frampton's words hammer the moral duty fighters carry, reminding that stars serve as examples. The scandal sparks furious debate over regulation, enforcement, and safety. Fans and experts boil with anger, asking how anyone could sabotage a pivotal fight and shred the sport's remaining credibility in plain sight.
High-profile guys getting caught, and it's just horrible. I genuinely, and I know you were about saying, without going fucking fully mental here, I just believe if you're caught with any performance-enhancing drug, you should be banned.
Adam Smith admitted he was stunned when the news broke that Jermaine Franklin had failed a drug test just days before his fight with Moses Itauma, the shock landing without warning. He stressed the situation is still rapidly unfolding, with official results unreleased and almost no clarity coming from authorities. The controversy detonated across social media, sending fans, analysts, and insiders scrambling for fragments of truth. Smith pointed to the fog surrounding the legal and procedural fallout, warning that until formal statements surface, speculation will run wild and narratives will twist. This episode doesn't just threaten Franklin's name, it drapes a heavy shadow over the fight itself, turning anticipation into anxiety. Now the boxing world watches with held breath, waiting to see how promoters, regulators, and Franklin himself respond as the next crucial hours decide damage, direction, and consequences.
And I'll wait and see what happens. I mean, I don't know the findings. We don't know. I haven't seen statements really. I don't know. It's come out in the social media world.
Johnny Nelson vented raw frustration and disbelief over Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test, demanding to know why any fighter would gamble with substances when the consequences are so brutally clear. He warned that such reckless choices don't just endanger the athlete, but put opponents like Moses Itauma in unnecessary, potentially catastrophic danger inside the ring. Nelson fixated on the staggering timing, the violation surfacing just days before the fight, turning preparation into chaos. The fallout has ignited fierce debate over accountability, testing standards, and personal responsibility at the highest level of boxing. Fans, commentators, and regulators are all dissecting the damage, weighing how deeply this scandal could scar Franklin's career and erode the sport's integrity. Above all, the incident stands as a harsh reminder that in professional boxing, where lives are at risk, the stakes are unforgiving and the ethical line cannot be crossed without consequence.
Now you won't know what stays for 2 weeks. I don't know, why would you take it knowing there's a possibility that it's going to be in your system? And why would you take it for our sport anyway?
Adam Smith reflected on boxing's brutal unpredictability, saying moments like Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test expose the sport's constant chaos lurking beneath the surface. He floated possible motives in hushed tones, yet firmly rejected any notion that the drama was manufactured. Smith emphasized that no amount of professionalism, structure, or preparation can shield fighters from last-minute explosions that can instantly derail a career. Now analysts and fans are locked in heated debate over what this means for the looming Moses Itauma fight. Questions swirl around safety, competitive balance, and public perception as Franklin's decision ignites deeper conversations about discipline, testing enforcement, and ethical boundaries in boxing. The sport now hangs in uneasy suspension, with uncertainty clouding Franklin's accountability and casting doubt over how this scandal will scar his reputation, reshape his future opportunities, and redefine trust when the spotlight burns brightest.
You never know in boxing. It's expect the unpredictable. Do I think it was staged? No.
Tony Bellew branded Jermaine Franklin's failed drug test a chilling warning for boxing, calling it a frightening moment that sets a reckless and dangerous precedent. He argued that scandals like this twist the sport into a sideshow, drowning out real competition, discipline, and pure skill. Bellew pointed to the wider fallout, from heightened safety risks to the slow collapse of public trust that boxing already struggles to protect. Fans and commentators simmer with anger and disbelief, asking how such last-minute disasters keep surfacing and why enforcement keeps failing to stop them. The controversy tightens the spotlight on regulators and promoters alike. As Franklin's career teeters on the edge, Bellew's words echo with urgency, demanding accountability, ironclad rules, and uncompromising protection for fighters who choose to compete clean in a sport where danger is already guaranteed.
But it's not that it's bad, it's frightening. But listen, this isn't boxing as a sport, this is the circus.
The Jermaine Franklin drug test scandal has detonated across boxing, rattling fans, analysts, and promoters who are now questioning every angle of the looming Moses Itauma fight. From Eddie Hearn scrambling behind closed doors with the British Boxing Board of Control to Johnny Nelson, Spencer Oliver, and Tony Bellew voicing disbelief and alarm, the sport feels engulfed in turmoil. Franklin stands at a crossroads, staring down severe legal and professional consequences as the integrity of the matchup hangs by a thread. Moses Itauma, meanwhile, stays locked in, calm and ready to seize advantage amid the chaos. Yet uncertainty stalks the event, with real doubt over whether the fight survives intact. The questions are growing louder by the hour. Will Franklin be cleared, sidelined, banned, or pulled from the bout entirely? The answers remain suspended in tension. Share your predictions and reactions as this saga unfolds, because this shocking chapter has carved itself into boxing history and won't fade from memory anytime soon.